Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to check out a brand new set of power banks that are being released by Anker Solix. We're talking specifically about this guy. This is the Anker Solix C300 DC. Although it may look like a small portable power bank, this by far has a lot of flexibility, and the things that this offers will actually outshine some of the other ones that we're going to take a look at today. And of course, we're also going to be talking about the big guy. This is the C300. Technically a little bit bigger than what we're getting there, but also offers us a few other options, the ability of charging it directly from the wall, of course 3 different power outlets, and a lot more power. And of course, why not throw in a couple more options from Anker to round up the actual set? Last but not least, of course, is the 100-watt solar panels from Anker to provide us the ability of charging up some of these power banks that we took a look at. This is TK, and let's go ahead and check out the Anker Solix solution to power your life. So we're going to start off with the C300 on the right side and the C300 DC, the smaller of the two. Again, these are both Anker Solix power stations. You'll see here the name is present on the bottom, and of course we have it here on the top. Both of them are app supported. That's really nice. But one of the biggest things that we're going to see here is the capacity and the functionalities that we get in here. They both have car ports, which allows us to actually use anything that uses the cigarette light adapter option for the car. We also have USB-A, USB-C connections, as well as you notice right here, there's a little bit of a switch. This enables us to charge them with the solar panel option that Anker provides with that 100-watt solar panel that we talked about in the beginning. Each section has its own activation area. Here you have 3 different power outlets to be able to power on your devices. These are US style, as you can see. And if you don't want to use the solar panel to charge, you can actually switch this over and you'll end up having 3 USB-Cs and a USB-A. You cannot use this USB-C and the solar panel charging at the same time. That's one of the limitations. Otherwise, we have a reset button, a display. Let's go ahead and just hit the power button here. You notice, first and foremost, when you click on it, it gives you the ability of seeing directly what the power level is. And of course, you'll notice that little flashing icon. Both of them are featuring Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to be able to get control over applications, and we're going to definitely check that out directly on our smartphone. As far as the actual capability, we'll notice we have 4 USB-Cs, 2 USB-A size here. We have 3 USB-C, 1 USB-A, but we have 3 power outlets, giving us the ability of actually charging more devices with the 300 over the 300 DC. But what I will argue for you guys is the fact that the DC, I feel like, is more of a comparable option because both the C300 and the C300 DC feature the same capacity of 90,000 milliamperes. We're talking 90,000. This is like so much more than a standard 10,000 milliampere battery that you can carry with you, and it's actually still portable. Very nice. Now, what I like about both of these systems is the fact that we get the ability of actually having cooling or ventilation cooling on the side. Both of them feature that option. And as you notice here, there's a little bit of a hook here. There's a smaller hook or a smaller strap that's included with the 300 DC. And they do also include these little extra connectors here that you're able to basically get if you do pre-order it during the pre-sale period. They'll give you an additional strap that is similar to the one that we get with the 300, which is a much more ruggedized, higher quality strap. This one comes with the 300, but this one during the pre-sale, you're able to pick one up for yourself. Now, the last thing before we go too far, you'll notice that the 300 DC has a nice little light or optional light here to turn on the top. And of course, this is slightly overblown in the image. But one of the nice things about it is it's actually extractable or keeping it small. You can also even turn it on while it's sitting there, making this into a nice little kind of like a torch in case you need some light at night. The 300 does have that, although it's actually just positioned as more of an LED here. Not as strong as the DC, but I feel like it's good enough in case you need it at night. But again, as far as the capabilities, the 300 is intended to have obviously more power, more options to be able to use. The 300 DC is more of that sweet spot. And now the C300 is normally selling at $249.99, and the pre-sale price is going to be going for $189.99. As far as the C300 DC, it normally sells at $199.99, and actually is going to be during the pre-sale period being at $149.99. Now, there's a lot of people that may compare the 300 DC to the 548. Both are similar in shape, but not in functionality. First and foremost, we'll say is this. The 548 only has 2 USB-Cs and 2 USB-As. It has the ability of receiving solar up to 60 watts, while the C300 DC has the ability of receiving it up to 100 watts. What you'll notice here is we have 2 A's, 4 C's, and that gives us the ability of also superpowering it with the ability of using the car option here. All of them are very nice and functional. This does support app support, so it means I'm actually able to connect it to the Anker Solix app. Unfortunately, the 548 does not include that, and that's one of the concerns that we have. As far as the display, very nice, very simple, easy to use. You'll notice that was the SOS. I'll just turn that off there. It has the same functionality with the pop-up light, which is definitely very, very nice. And it does pop in very nicely in there. The biggest difference though, when we start looking at as far as pricing and of course what capacity we have, this runs at 60,000 milliamperes. So that's up to 6 times up to the 10,000 milliamperes that we usually get. This again is running at 90,000. You can see the size comparison is very similar. And one of the other things is that this also includes, I guess, more ports for the USB-C and of course the car option that we have, as well as app support. It still has the nice little ventilation on the side, and it gives you the ability of actually taking it with you. Both are nice and portable. The price point though, with the early sale, they're actually the same price. So it really makes no sense, nothing against the 548, but I definitely recommend you going for the 300 DC. It just provides so far the better option. Now, the final comparison between the two is that the C300 DC can go up to 300 watts and the 548 goes up to 87 watts. Of course, giving you a lot more power on the DC side. Now, the last one I want to talk to you guys about is one of Anker's more portable, more versatile solutions. This is the Anker Prime. Now, the Anker Prime is not intended to compete with something like this. This, again, is 90,000 milliamperes. The Anker Prime is running at about 27,650. It's still comparable and more than most 10,000 milliampere banks. But the biggest thing about this is it's limited by the number of ports that we have. We only have 3 ports, 2 C's and an A. They both feature the ability of being controlled via apps. There's a button on the side that gives you the ability of seeing how much input and output that you're able to get in here. And you can see that right there where it's ready to go as far as the charge level. It does have Bluetooth connectivity, no Wi-Fi on this one. So we do have app support on both these, basically the 300 DC as well as the Anker Prime. But when we're looking at this, this is almost 3 times the size of this as far as when it comes to capacity. And one of the biggest things that I'll probably say is the Anker Prime has over the 300 DC is that this actually is the maximum size battery that you're able to take on a plane. So this is actually much more easily to travel with, where the 300 DC, the 300 and the 548 are more, let's say if you want to go camping around a house, you want to be able to use things, this is a lot easier to use as the capacity that we have in here exceeds the maximum allowed capacity on an airplane. So the Prime does have that benefit there, but it is limited by the number of ports. I feel like here, the 4 USB-Cs, the 2 USB-As, and the car port that we have here provides us a much more versatile option. And again, 90,000 milliamperes, you really can't beat that. And one last thing to say, this sells for about $179 retail price, and this one in the early bird is at $149. And even when it goes to normal price, it's just $10 more than the Anker Prime, making this a much more versatile option. If you're not traveling with it on an airplane, this one is the better option. But if you are, then of course the Anker Prime is going to be your guy. Now, at the beginning of the video, we talked about the fact that we have solar options, the ability of charging some of our power banks that we talked about today using these. So Anker was nice enough to send me this solar panels configuration. There's 4 panels in here, totaling up to a maximum of 100 watts, and that's obviously solar power. And the beauty about this is it includes the cables that you need, and it connects directly into the ports that we have on the C300, the C300 DC, as well as the 548. The biggest thing I'll probably say is with a maximum of 100 watts, it gives you the ability of charging these when you're outdoors, if you're camping, or even if for any reason you have a power outage and you have good sunlight, this is actually going to work very nicely. And what I love about them is they have this nice little indicator in the center of the panel, so between the 4 panels, that lets you know the best optimal angle where it actually needs to be connected or basically positioned towards the sun. It either needs to be flat, it needs to be angled. There's kickstands on the back of it, which allows us to use it. And like I said, it connects directly into the actual power banks using the provided cable that comes with the panels. So at the end of the day, there's no reason for us not to be able to have power on the go. But the biggest thing that I'll probably say is when you look at the features, when you look at the size, and when you look at the options that we get in here, although the Anker Prime is very nice and very portable, it works great on an airplane, it's limited by the size of the battery that we have in there at up to 27,650. When you go over to the 548, you're getting a better battery at 60,000 milliampere, but you're really not getting as many ports as some of the options we have with the 300 DC. The 300 DC gives you more USB-C ports, it gives you a similar number of USB-A ports, but we also have the car option on this as well as the light that we get at the top. So it really gives us the benefit, or basically all of the best things about the 548, and it just gives us even more with the 90,000 milliampere that we have in there. But when we go up to the 300, this is basically where it becomes a little bit more about what you need. If you need to power things using a wall outlet, like a regular US style wall outlet, the 300 is going to be the one that you go for. It has more capacity, it's a little bit heavier, but still gives you the ability of charging it directly either from the solar option that we talked, or directly out of the wall at the home, making it charge a lot faster, pulling in the more power and getting you back up and running much faster. But if you need to be able to get the best experience there, I feel like the DC just kind of takes all of the best features in there, minus a couple of things, but it makes it more portable, a decent size capacity, and of course, a lot better options for you to use when you're on the go or when you're at home. Now, Anker wants to make this deal a lot better for anybody that's considering to pick up the 300 DC during the pre-sale period. They're going to be giving away a strap. That strap that I shared with you guys before that was connected to the C300 is going to be also provided to the C300 DC, giving you the option of actually having a better handle on it. You still have the small one that's already kind of affixed to it, but the additional 2 hooks that we have on the side allows it to actually become much easier to carry, and of course just becomes a little bit more functional on the go. Now, one of the other things, of course, that they're doing is they're running something called a social activation that enables you to actually win prizes. And one of these prizes is a C300 DC, which makes this really, really nice. Both the pre-sale bonus as well as the activation are going to be provided through that link that I'll give you guys in the description below. The C300 and the C300 DC are very good solution, providing us very well-rounded options. The C300 DC provides more of that sweet spot. I feel like it's the best all-rounder, but the C300 provides you that power option and, of course, additional option to be able to use wall outlet connections. It has 3 of those, and it actually gets charged from the wall outlet at home at a very ridiculously fast pace. Great battery technology, great capacity, and of course app support, which is amazing from Anker. And I love the fact that they provide us a lot of options, and every time they release something new, they just keep adding more and more onto it. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support. I will see you in the next video.